So we can start our lesson here. Okay. So today's topic is moving charges and magnetism. So in the last lesson, we studied about the magnetic effect of a magnetic. So it's like in the last session we studied like how the magnetic field will behave when the charge is present, or else we can say the magnetic effect on a current, or else the current on a magnetic field. Right. So here we are going to study about the moving charges and magnetism. So here we are just going to see the overall like a summary of a lesson. Then we will solve the past paper questions from the past year NEET papers. Okay. So first we are going to study about what is mean by magnetism and what is the like how we can represent the magnetic field. Right. So it's known that the phenomena of attracting magnetic substance like iron and nickel and cobalt, the magnetic material simply is called as a magnetism. So here we can say the body which possesses the property of magnetism is called magnet. And we can say the magnetic pole is a point near the end of a magnet where the magnetism is concentrated. And always we can say the earth is a natural magnet. So here apart from that we can say the region around a magnet in which it exerts a force on the other magnet and on an object which is made up of iron is a magnetic field, right? So like how we just represent the electric field by using a electric lines. In this case, in the case of magnetic field also, we will use magnetic lines to represent the magnetic field strength. So it's known that the magnetic field lines always starts from north and it will end at south. So there will be so many magnetic lines, right? So based on the magnetic lines, like if the lines are together, we can say the magnetic field strength is very high there. If it is very far, then we can say the magnetic field strength is very less. So this is all about like how we can represent our answer in terms of magnetic field strength by using magnetic field lines. Now, I will tell you how to represent the uniform magnetic field and the non-uniform magnetic field, or else in terms of with respect to the direction. So here, when the uniform field on the given plane or diagram should be represented, mean that time we can represent the magnetic field lines by using the parallel lines. Similarly, when the uniform field perpendicular into the plane of diagram, so that time we will use the cross marks to represent. If they are representing the magnetic field by using a dot, which means they are representing a uniform field perpendicular and emerging out of the plane of a diagram. So make sure whether like is you know all these things before you are going for an exam, because sometimes they will give the diagram and they will tell you to calculate the values of magnetic moment and other steps. They will not mention which type of field is there, and like whether the plane is uh, into the page, or it's like how the relation between uniform field and the plane of a diagram. Okay, so if you know these symbols it would be helpful for you. Now, the next one we are going to study about current loop as a magnetic dipole and dipole moment. It's known that magnetic dipole moment is nothing but the pair of a magnetic pole of equal and opposite strength separated by the finite distance. Okay, and the value of magnetic dipole moment can be calculated using a product of pole strength and the separation between them. So here I said already, it will be separated by the distance of 2m. So we can say the magnetic dipole moment will be equal to m times 2l times l cap. L cap here is representing the value of just unit vector. Okay, so here we can say in terms of in terms of current loop, we can say when we look at any one side of a loop carrying a current, if the current is moving in an anti-clockwise direction, then the side of a loop behaves like a magnetic north pole, and if the current in a clockwise direction, then the side of a pole behaves like a magnetic south pole. So, like you have to know this, like based on the direction of a current, we have to like how to choose the pole of a magnetic field as well. Okay, so I'm just giving the tip for finding the poles of magnetic field. And about the direction of a dipole moment, it's always from south to north pole along the axis of a magnet. Now, we are moving for the Coulomb's law in magnetism. We know the Coulomb's law in electricity, which states that the force is directly proportional to Q1, Q2, and inversely proportional to the value of R power 2. So here also we are having a similar terms, but here we don't have a charge, we have a masses. So if we are considering two magnetic poles with a distance of r, we can say the force will be directly proportional to m on m2 and inversely proportional to r square. So when we are writing this in equation form, it will be equal to k times m1 m2 divided by r square. So here k is representing the value mu naught divided by 4 pi, whereas mu naught is representing the permeability of a free space, which is always equal 4 pi times 10 to the power negative 7. Whereas m1 m2 are the masses of a pole, r is the distance between them. So in a vector form, we can write this as a capital F vector is equal u naught m1 m2 divided by 4 pi r over r power 3 times r cap. So next one, we are going to study about the magnetic intensity or magnetizing force. It's known that magnetic intensity at a point is the force experienced by the north pole of a unit pole strength placed at that point due to pole strength of a given magnet. So which can be calculated using a formula H is equal B divided by mu. So here mu is representing the value of permeability of a corresponding medium. So here we can say the magnetic intensity or magnetic force will also define as the magnetomotive force per unit time. And here it can also be defined as degree or extent to which a magnetic field can magnetize a substance. And apart from these definition, we can define the force experienced by the unit positive charge flowing with a unit velocity in a direction normal to the magnetic field. Actually, this is what we will wrote in our CBSE board exam. So the next is about the unit. The SI unit of the magnetic intensity or as magnetic force is nothing but amperes turn per linear meter. Okay, so this is all about magnetic intensity. Now we are moving for magnetic field strength, or else we can say the magnetic induction, or we can say magnetic field or magnetic flux density. So keep it in mind, if you are getting these terms, all are representing the similar quantity. Don't get confused. Now we can like define it. Magnetic flux density is nothing but the number of magnetic lines of force passing normally through the unit area of a substance. Whereas B here is representing again the magnetic flux density, which will be equal to mu times H. H is representing the magnetic intensity, right? Now we are moving for the magnetic flux. Magnetic flux is nothing but the number of magnetic lines of force passing normally through the surface, and the SI unit of a magnetic flux is Weber. Now we are going to see the relation between the magnetic flux intensity, or as we can say the magnetic flux density, and the magnetic intensity B and H. So here we can say the relation will be equal to B is equal mu H, where mu is a permeability of a corresponding medium where we are calculating. Again we can study about the permeability also. So it's just a degree or extent to which magnetic lines of force can pass enter a substance. So the SI unit of magnetic permeability will be Tesla meter per ampere or Weber per ampere meter or Henry per meter. So you have to aware about all the units as well. Now, relative magnetic permeability mu r. Relative permeability or relative magnetic permeability is just the ratio of magnetic flux density in a material to that in a vacuum. And here we can say it also can be defined as the ratio of absolute permeability of a material to that in a vacuum. Okay, so this is all about magnetic permeability, magnetic flux, and relative magnetic permeability. Now we are moving for the next one. So here is the formulas. Okay, the next one is about intensity of a magnetization and the magnetic susceptibility. It's known that intensity of a magnetization is nothing but the degree to which a substance is magnetized when it was placed in a magnetic field. And it can also be defined as the magnetic dipole moment acquired per unit volume of substance, and it can also be defined as the pole strength per unit cross-sectional area of a strength. And the unit here we can say ampere per meter. So this is all about the intensity of magnetization. Now we are moving for magnetic susceptibility, which will be represented using a letter Cm. It's the property of a substance which shows how easily a substance can be magnetized. So by using magnetic susceptibility, we can define like how the material will behave based on a given magnetic field. And it's also defined as the ratio of intensity magnetization in a substance to the magnetic intensity applied to the substance. So here we can write the magnetic susceptibility is equal I divided by H. Okay. Now the relation between magnetic permeability and susceptibility can be written as mu R is equal 1 plus Cm. This is a relation between magnetic permeability and susceptibility. This is a relation between magnetic susceptibility and the intensity of a magnetization. Okay, so now we are moving for the next one. So now the magnetic field due to magnetic dipole. So for example, if we are taking a power magnet, we will have two cases. First one at a point on an axial line of a magnet. So here we will have two formulas as a final thing. So the magnetic field will be equal to mu naught times 2 mx divided by 4 pi x power 2 minus L power 2 whole power 2. If the value of x is less than the value of L, or else we can say if the L is having less value compared to x. Here L is representing the distance between the center and the single pole, whereas x is representing from the center where we are calculating the magnetic field. So these two formulas we will use it. Okay. The next one is about at the point on an equatorial line of a magnet. So here, if the point is on an equatorial line, what will happen? The formula will get changed. So here we will have a formula mu naught m divided by 4 pi y square plus L power 2 whole power 3 over 2. And similarly, if the value of L is very less compared to the point where we are calculating, it will have a formula of mu naught m divided by 4 pi y3. So this is all about the magnetic field due to a magnetic dipole. So here we can say the magnetic field at a point on an axial line act along a dipole moment vector, whereas the magnetic field at a point on a equatorial line act opposite to the dipole moment vector. Okay, I hope it's clear. Now I'm moving for the Like you people can first note this down, then we can go for the next slide. I'm just keeping this slide for 2 minutes. Okay, we are moving for the next slide now. So it's about the torque on a magnetic dipole in a uniform magnetic field. So here we are just going to study how there will be the torque present when there is a uniform magnetic field. It's known that whenever there is a magnetic field and there is a magnetic dipole, or else if we are taking the bar magnet, there will be the turning effect. So the force of magnitude act opposite to each other, and hence the net force acting on a bar magnet due to external uniform magnetic field here will be seen. So there will be no translational motion of a magnet. And then when the force are along a different lines of action and consider a couple, hence the magnet will rotate and experience a torque. Then here we can see torque will be equal to magnetic force times distance, like our turning effect moment. Okay, and the formula here we can use is T is equal mb times 2l sine theta. So here it's known that m times 2l is representing the magnetic moment, so we can write the torque is equal mb sine theta. So in terms of cross product, we can write T is equal M cross B as well. Okay. So this is the diagram usually we will represent. And the direction of a torque will be always perpendicular to the plane containing the dipole and the magnetic field. Okay. The next one is about Curie's law. This is very important because Curie's law will tell us about the magnetic susceptibility and temperature relation. So it's known that the magnetic susceptibility of a material always inverse to the absolute temperature. So here we can write one the value of magnetic susceptibility is directly proportional to the H and the inversely proportional to the temperature. So simply we can write the susceptibility is directly proportional to H over P, right? So here, if we want to like equalize this, we will use the Curie's constant. So Curie's constant here is C over T. Okay, so Curie's temperature for iron is 1000 K, for cobalt 1004 K, and for nickel 600 K. Okay, so this is all about Curie's law. So this is just a diagram for that. So yeah, so just we came to the end. So like we just study the basic concepts. So we started with what is going to be magnetism, and then how to represent the magnetism, then current loop or the magnetic dipole and dipole moment, then Coulomb's law, then we studied about magnetic flux intensity, magnetic field strength, magnetic flux and relation between B and H, magnetic permeability, magnetic relative permeability, everything we studied, right? So I hope everything is in the mind. I'm just going to keep this session for 2 more minutes, then we can start solving the past paper question. Okay, I'm just opening the chat box now. If you people have any doubts regarding the topics what we studied now, you can send a message in the chat box. I will solve the question, then we will move to the past paper question. Okay, I'm just keeping the chat box open now. Yes, okay. I hope I cleared your doubts. Let us solve the question now. Okay. So here the first question is about calculating the magnetic field, right? So here it's given that the magnetic potential energy when the magnetic bar of a magnetic moment EM is perpendicular to the magnetic field is. So here we are just calculating the magnetic potential energy there, right? So it's known that the magnetic potential energy can be calculated using a formula minus M dot B dot cos theta. Whereas M here is representing the magnetic moment, B is representing the magnetic field. It's given that the magnetic moment and magnetic field is perpendicular, which means the theta value here is 90. And it's known that whenever there is theta is 90, the value of cos 90 will be equal to 0. So we can say the potential energy will be equal to 0. So the correct answer for this question will be option B. Let me show you the next question. Here you have to show the relation between the susceptibility or else permeability with a given detail for a diamagnetic material. So here it's given that the incorrect relation for a diamagnetic material is shown here. Select that one. Okay, so it's known that diamagnetic material have a negative magnetic susceptibility. So we can write in terms of susceptibility as so susceptibility will be represented by the symbol chi, right? So I said it's negative, so we can write minus 1 less than or equal chi less than or equal less than only, right? It's not less than or equal, it's just less than 0. Now, in terms of relative permeability, it's known that the relative permeability will be 0 less than or equal to UR less than 1, because it's known that the relation between relative permeability and the susceptibility is mu R is equal 1 plus chi. Mu R is representing the relative permeability, right? So the absolute permeability is related to the relative permeability. So here we can write the mu will be equal to mu naught times mu R, right? So here in terms of expression we can write 0 less than or equal mu R less than 1, or else we can write mu less than mu naught. So based on this we can say the incorrect option here is option D. Okay, now I'm going to show you the next question. You people are going to solve this question. I will give 5 minutes to solve this question. You people can solve and you can post your answer in a chat box. Yes, you can first find like what we are going to calculate here, then find like which formula we have to use it here. Yeah, do it. Let me know the answer in a chat box. Okay, I'm getting the correct answers from you people. Very good. You're doing a good job. Okay, yeah. What is the formula we are using here? Yes, we are just using a relation between the magnetic moment and the dipole moment values here, right? So here it's given that the magnetic moment of a iron rod is M, and it was bent in a way that it forms an arc section of a circle sus- subtending an angle of 60 degree at the center. The magnetic moment of this arc section will be have a value of what? So it's known that the magnetic moment will be equal to m times L, right? So here we can write the value of change in a magnetic moment will be equal to m times r, because they are making that as a arc, bending as a arc, right? So it will be r. So here we can write the m dash will be equal to m times the value of r we needed, right? But we don't have a r value. But here it's known that the angular displacement will be equal to L divided by r. So here we can write r is equal L divided by theta. Here it's given in the question they are making the angle of 60 degree, which means it's equal to pi over 3. So we can write this as L divided by pi over 3, right? So R will be equal to 3L divided by pi. So we have a value of R. So we can write here 3L divided by pi, right? So when we are simplifying this, we can write M times L times 3 divided by pi. So here ML is representing the initial magnetic moment. So we can write m dash will be equal to m3 divided by pi, or else we can write 3m divided by pi. So the correct answer for this question is option A here.